Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is going on, faithful? It is absolutely incredible to be with you guys today. I got my man, Ant from 49ers Cutback. We're going to be diving through roster questions now that we know the 53. We know the majority of the practice squad, and those transactions are still fluid and kind of going on. Ant, how are we doing today, my friend?
Doing great. You know, it's a Thursday, so it means we're getting close to Friday, which is always fun. With so many great college football games coming up this weekend, I'm kind of hyped about that. And of course, we got all the stuff going on with the 49ers 53-man roster as well. But yeah, I'm kind of hyped for the weekend. College football, Ohio State, like you said, Ohio State, Texas, Florida State versus Alabama. There's a lot of really big games. Alabama's probably going to roll. But anyways, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Is it Clemson LSU? Is that the other one?
I think it is, yeah.
Clemson, yeah, like, I mean, come on. Talk about coming out swinging for the fences, baby. Absolutely love it. It's going to be fun. Hook 'em horns. I'm ready for the Arch Manning, like, hype train to just go full steam. We'll see how it goes. But we're here because of 49ers. Make no mistake. The 49ers have finalized their roster. They're making moves to the practice squad. Probably the most recent news is that Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who the 49ers have agreed to a contract with, is joining the practice squad and then going to be elevated. Remember, you get to elevate 2 players a week to the active 53. So Marquez Valdez-Scantling will be one of those. So I want to start off talking probably the biggest issue out there, the wide receiver position. Yeah, you know, Ant and I, we were talking. You go to our lads, which is probably one of like the best depth chart resources on the web for every single team. And you pull up the 49ers roster, and sure enough, there is no player at backup wide receiver, left wide receiver, or right wide receiver. Like, there's just no wide receivers. And on top of that, 2 of your wide receivers are injured. So let's talk Jauan Jennings. How much of it is the calf? How much of it is the contract? Regardless, whatever category you want to put the reason why he's not practicing currently, how soon, Ant, do you think Jauan Jennings dresses and plays in a game? Do you think he plays week 1? Do you think it's week 2, 3? They haven't put him on IR? What the hell what's going on here?
I still think he's going to play week 1. I've been saying that. I'm just going to stick to it because I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Jauan. You know, all the conversation about, well, you know, calves are tricky. You know, and calf muscles can be tricky, but let's be honest, they have a pretty good idea. John Lynch in his presser yesterday said, you know, they don't do imaging every day, which he's correct. But he goes, if something doesn't change, we're going to do imaging really fast. I think that is kind of showing that, hey, this calf should be better by now. And if he's not ready to go, we're going to need to do imaging again. And then if we clear him, then he needs to be on the field. And I think that's where they're kind of getting at. The rubber's going to meet the road next week, right? You have to be there. You have to be prepared for practice. If not, you're not playing. So he knows that he's got some reasons that he needs to be out on the field. And the 49ers need to have wide receivers to put a little pressure on Jauan. This depth chart right here doesn't put any pressure on Jauan Jennings. He's like, hey, you guys need me. You need to pay me. You need to ship me. You need to do something. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now. Hopefully, Jauan Jennings gets out there. They can figure something out. The 49ers desperately need him, and the depth chart is proof why. I don't think I've ever seen the 49ers depth chart look like this at this time of the year. Usually, last year there was 7 wide receivers ready to roll for the 49ers. This year, there's 2 ready to roll and a couple question marks with Jauan Jennings and with Jordan Watkins. And then, of course, we know that they're going to add a couple guys. Russell Gage, Marquez Valdez-Scantling will come up from the practice squad. There are bodies, but it's really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you have 2 wide receivers right now, one of them just joined the team less than a week ago, Sky Moore. You have Ricky Pearsall, but Jordan Watkins not practicing. Jauan Jennings not practicing. MVS still is not officially signed yet. Russell Gage, they said, was going to practice with him yesterday, didn't. That official transaction hasn't come through yet. They asked, like, is Russell Gage going to be on the practice squad? And Kyle's like, no, the 53. He'll be out there with us today. That transaction never came across the NFL lines in time. So if you're going to bring, like, who's gone now? You have to make room. There's 53 players. One in, one has to leave. And so just the questions abound. So let's try to clear it up this way. Talk me through, it's week 1. You can get out your magic 8 ball if you need to, which you might need some supernatural help on this one, Ant. Who the hell are the starting 3 wide receivers? The 49ers don't do a lot of, 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets, but every single team does something. Who are the 3 wide receivers that you see? These are our week 1 starters. Whether practice squad, injured, don't give a damn. Who are the 3 that are going to be out there?
Yeah, I think there's 2 likely combinations, but the one I'm going with, because I do think Juwan's going to be back, Juwan, Ricky Pearsall, and then Russell Gage. I think that those are going to be the guys that are going to be out there week 1. And if it's not Juwan, then it'll be MVS. I think that's the only adjustment that will happen. But I still think Juwan gets out there. And I think that those 3 together is pretty good for an 11 personnel. It's funny because I was watching a game from 2022, Brock's rookie season, and I saw some of the guys that were out there, and because I've been concerned about the wide receiver room, and I seen, guys that were going out there and shouldn't really be on the field making plays, right? You had Ray McLeod doing all kinds of stuff. Danny Gray was out there running pass routes, and I'm like, wait a second, this offense rolled through Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle, that game went off, for a couple of touchdowns. You're like, that's right. This is still the 49ers offense. As long as it runs through the running back and the tight end, it's going to be okay. I'm not saying you could throw anyone out there. They have to be skilled, but the guys that they have are still skilled.
Yeah, and that MVS, I just see 20 clear out routes in his future, in his immediate future. Just like, don't even look at Brock Purdy. Just run Forrest Gump style as fast as you can to the safety. You're taking 2 defenders with you. We're going to operate underneath. Shout out to Rob Louder. He says, one of the weirder press conferences in memory. It was weird. It was just, it's just weird. The questions that are coming, and, you've got kicker scrutiny, and you've got wide receiver and contract scrutiny, and just the injuries galore, and just, it's just, I don't want to say like, it's bad vibes. It just does not feel like, yay, we're excited to play football. Like, you're managing so many different narratives right now that it's just, you're trying to suit up a football team. That's really what you're trying to do. And the injuries haven't been kind, but the flip side to this, they're not major injuries. They have not been major ACLs and Achilles and whatever else. They're not season long. They're banged up injuries. Juwan Jennings is going to play at some point this year. Jacob Cowan, we'll talk about a little bit later. He gets moved to IR. They could bring him back. They could not. Jordan Watkins, the rookie, he's trending to coming back. So, like, these are all temporary issues at the wide receiver position that will be remedied within the season. Now, the question comes to, and John Lynch talked on KNBR, that the 49ers are having internal discussions about an older 49ers wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne, who was granted his release after requesting it from New England. So the question, Ant, do the 49ers need Kendrick Bourne bad enough in this short window to bring him in, or do you think that they're kind of set with the MVS, Sky Moore, if Juwan Jennings comes back? Like, what is your stance just on KB? Do we bring him back, or is it a little too much?
I think that's part of the reason they're having internal conversations, is because Demarcus Robinson's going to be back by week 4. They know Brandon Ayuk's going to be back, 6-8 weeks into the season. And then your wide receiver room is going to be full. And you got a lot of young talent you still want to keep. You don't want to move on from those guys. You have a specialist in Sky Moore who adds some things to your roster, the very Ray McLeod type player that Kyle likes to utilize. So I think that they have certain guys they want to use in certain ways. And so they don't want to overwhelm this roster. But there is a chance that at some point MVS is either going to work out and they love him, or he's not. Kendrick Bourne is the one you've already had. You understand what you're getting with Kendrick Bourne. He's going to go out there. He's going to block. He's going to make third down catches that are going to result in first downs, and he's going to drop first down catches that he should make. That's just who Kendrick Bourne is. And you're going to get a lot of energy. You're going to get a lot of hype. You're going to add a veteran to the room. And I think that there's something to that. So I think it's all about them knowing things are going to be fluid, realizing there's more than likely going to be another injury at some point to somebody, and they need to have bodies to be able to plug in. And going with a guy that you already understand what he could do in your system is very valuable. Now, we've seen MVS in the system, but what's he going to be blocking? What's he going to be running those other routes that he needs to run? I think that's some of the key elements. I like the MVS signing, but Kendrick Bourne adds something else to your roster, and that's a known commodity.
Yeah, even though he never played with, Brock Purdy or anything like that, but he knows the scheme. He knows the routes. He knows all 3 wide receiver spots. He could step in. He'll be fine. Big Papa, man, he says, what's the advantage of putting MVS on the practice squad? It just frees up another spot. So the fact that he was a veteran, nobody could really claim him. So it's just giving you an extra spot. You save that spot for Russell Gage, which, again, we'll have to see what that looks like, who's coming off the 53 if Russell Gage is going on it, like Shanahan said. But you have a predetermined look. MVS, we're bringing you on the practice squad. We're going to give you guarantees that show you will be elevated early on in the year. Then we'll move you to the 53-man roster. But look, this gives us more roster flexibility and essentially a 54-man roster because, again, cannot be claimed. He is a veteran, established, and so he is not subject to waivers or any of those things. But most people are saying, Kendrick Bourne, kind of moving on him. Invader, the Bourne redemption, we don't need him. I'm kind of up in the air here because I do want, if you could get him for a vet minimum, which, New England, he made a lot of money there and didn't produce whatsoever. If you get him for a vet minimum, then I think the Niners would do it. Younger, cheaper has been the MO this entire offseason. Yeah, Kendrick Bourne's not younger, but if you could get him on, a cheap salary, put some incentives on it, because, again, he did so poor last year. If you put incentives on it, they're going to be on the unlikely to be earned, and so they won't count against the cap this year. So we'll see. And, yeah, he's probably a step slower. He's been going through injuries and whatever else. But Monkey, he's listened to the show a lot. As long as we avoid routes on air, we'll be fine. That is a Jacob Cowing reference. That dude, yeah, he's 0-2 versus the air. It's just what it is. It's what it is. So let's transition. Let's go to some kicker talk because we got to. Niner Goat says, John, do you think the Niners are just trying to prove themselves right by keeping Moody around? I'm not a Jake Moody guy. Never have been. You don't draft kickers. You don't draft punters. You sure as hell don't do it in the 3rd round. I am of the stance, though, however, this is a little bit of a nuanced take. I do think that he should be given the chance once you cut Greg Joseph and you showed it was not a competition. And you even had the comments yesterday from John Lynch. We actually did have a competition. I don't know why people are saying we didn't have a competition. Well, because one guy made more kicks than the other guy, and you cut the guy that made the more kicks in training camp and all that stuff. That's why we don't think it was a competition. But when they cut him, then it was like, all right, you got to ride Jake Moody. Now, if he continues to do what he's did and can't kick the ball inbounds on kickoff and misses extra points and whatever else, then yeah, you need to cut him and move on. I would take so many kickers that are out there right now. It's funny. I think it was the Dolphins had 4 kickers at a tryout, 2 of which have already beaten Jake Moody for the 49ers in their time. Whenever he got hurt, they both outperformed him, but they're still out there on the street. Greg Joseph and Joey Sly. Like, I would take them over Jake Moody, but you kind of made your bed. And so whenever you cut Greg Joseph and you're like, oh, we might bring him back, we might not. No. I do think you should ride into the season with Jake Moody and kind of deal with what happens. He's going to cost you games. He's going to cost you field position. What are your thoughts on Jake Moody in this whole crazy situation?
Yeah, I think it's less about them trying to prove that they're right and more about Brant Boyer now making a decision on the kicker. I think that they've given this thing to Brant Boyer, and I think that he's going to determine if Jake Moody's ready. And he's a frustrating guy because you see the 59-yard field goal where he absolutely hammers it to win a football game. You're like, that's exactly why we want Jake Moody. And then the next week he misses an extra point. It's like you get the side eye from Shanahan. You get Boyer just not even looking at him as he kicks the ball out of bounds. Like, it's a frustrating thing. But what you're hoping is that when you get into the regular season, he's going to find a rhythm. And that was what Brant Boyer was trying to say. That 59-yard field goal can sometimes spark something that kind of gets somebody's confidence up and they just start writing it. So they got to say these things right now. They have full belief in Jake Moody. They're going to preach that they love this guy. They want him to go out there and prove it. But make no mistake, if he starts losing football games for this team, they will make a change. They are now in the situation where they can go ahead and pull him. They've given it a full opportunity to play out. Last year, there was injury concerns. Now they've gotten him a new coach who understands special teams very well. If he doesn't work out, they will move on. Now, I'm hoping, because I think he's got a ton of talent, that he gets his mind right and he's kicking the ball through for the 49ers. That's the best situation, that he works out and he does great. But if not, pull the trigger. Do not hesitate. Short leash. Yank it when you have to and get somebody in there, because you can't afford to lose games early on in this season, especially if you want to compete for a playoff spot.
Yep, I like that. Right here, louder. Chase McLaughlin filling in for Robbie Gould, who booted a ball into the tunnel, tried to beat the Seahawks. I remember that, just straight left. Has since developed into one of the better kickers in the league. But anyways, go Moody. Yeah, everybody we've had has been better. And like, people are like, oh, well, he was so good before the injury. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He missed 3 kicks in 3 playoff games consecutively before the injury. No, he wasn't. My issue with Jake Moody isn't the talent. The consistency is an issue. It's like whenever you see him boot a ball on kickoff 10 yards out of bounds and the coaches refuse to even walk in his direction, and the body language of Jake Moody, it's just not there now. Like, there's no doubt he has the talent to be in the league for 10 plus years, and I think he will. But, man, those fans, I was at the game, man. I was at the Vegas game. I was at all the preseason games. And I'm telling you right now, the 49ers fans are done with this dude. Like, they are heckling the hell out of him. And he's so soft mentally already. Have you ever seen a press conference or an interview with him? It's just like, oh, my gosh, somebody hug this man. Like, he needs comfort. Like, he is just, with the what he puts off, it's not great. That's my issue. So, again, I will never buy into the narrative he was great before he got injured or the holder was bad. No. I was there at the playoff games where he missed 3 consecutive games with a missed kick. I'm sorry. Like, and Robbie Gould was awesome. He missed kicks too, just never in the playoffs, but he had no leg. Like, he couldn't do kickoffs and he couldn't kick it, over 50 yards. Like, 48 was his threshold. Jake Moody made a 59-yarder to win the game in preseason. And that was the problem, is whenever you get Brant Boyer and you're like, oh, it's career altering. And then he goes out there, misses an extra point, kicks the ball out of bounds, has 3 kickoffs go into the end zone. He has no damn clue where that ball is going anytime that ball comes off his foot. It is, let's close your eyes and kick it as hard as you can. I don't know. It's going to have to, he ain't going to be here past this year. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that he turns it around and becomes the best kicker in the NFL, obviously. But oh man, it's rough.
If I'm him, I'm embracing the dark side. Oh, fans, you don't like me? Okay, I'm going to make every single field goal right down the middle. Bring it on. I mean, the thing is, that guy kicked some of the toughest field goals in college that there were. Inclement weather, no problem. This dude hit it. But for whatever reason, the NFL, it just hasn't clicked for him. I mean, when they drafted him, I was not a super fan of where they drafted him, but getting the kicker, I was kind of like, okay, because he was really good for Harbaugh at Michigan, but it just hasn't translated. And I don't know if the injury had anything to do with it last year. I have zero idea. I just know that down the stretch, he did not kick well. And they've got to figure it out. Brant Boyer, he's not going to wait around. He's not a guy that's going to let this thing play out, 7-8 weeks with this guy having yips and not taking care of business. They'll make a move.
Yeah. So that's my question. Notorious, I like this. What will it take for this 49ers front office to move on from Jake Moody? Like, in your opinion, like, if he misses a game winner, if he has 2 or more misses, like, what is it that you think, like, is going to be, look, we got to move on? Like, is there anything that comes to mind for you where you're just like, yep, it's done?
I think it would have to be not just like one missed field goal, right? Kickers are going to miss a field goal here and there. I think it would have to be, the placement on the kickoffs is always off, right? It's costing them field position. That's going to tick off Kyle a lot. I think also if you started missing multiple field goals or field goals that would have tied the game or gave you winners, one time you probably let it go, but if it happens again, it's probably it right there. So I think it's kind of a combination of things, but if he's not doing the little things, the nuanced parts of being a good special teams player, then you just have to. You have to have somebody that's going to help you with field position. That is a key element. And if you're not going to do it, you're going to find someone that can.
Oh, yeah, it's coming. And so I hope that it gets figured out. I hope that they make it work, and I hope that he's an all-pro. That's whenever you draft a kicker, the highest drafted kicker in the NFL, you expect Pro Bowl, all-pro status, not what was he ranked, the 35th kicker out of 32 teams last year? Like, come on, man. Like, you got to get there. Now, the questions, I was curious if they would show up in the chat. Of course they did. We've got questions on questions about the new 49ers jerseys. They look like they used Ant's hat as inspiration. So I want to get Ant's take on the new alternate jerseys right after this.
Your fantasy league pays bragging rights. My bookie pays cash. So this season, stop celebrating like it's 2009 and start betting like it's 2025. Whether you're hammering spreads, chasing the lines, writing money shot parlays, my favorite teasers are my favorite bet ever. And like I just tell people this all the time: you're betting with the odds and with the house instead of against it. Check out teasers if you haven't done it. It's our specialty, and it's where we make most of our money. But MyBookie is your one-stop sportsbook and casino in one. So one account, one wallet. You bet football all weekend, then you want to play slots, you want to play blackjack. It's all. You don't have to switch apps, no jumping platforms, just straight up action. And if you're new to MyBookie, man, they've got a new huge promo. Use our code 49ers, 49ERS, on your first bet up to $500. It's fully covered. So you make your play. If it doesn't hit, you get it right back with a bet back bonus. No stress. And it comes with just a one-time rollover on return bet. So you're free to reload and keep firing. If you don't know about reloads, ask them their customer service. Trust me, that is there. But again, a one-time rollover, that is huge. So sign up at mybookie.ag. Code 49ers, 49ERS. Claim your bet back bonus. Make this football season the one where bragging rights come with a bankroll. MyBookies, where bettors win together, because bragging's good, but cashing in is better.
Now, here we go. Michael asks, #CC, how about those new jerseys? It probably the best comment for jerseys. They could drop new jerseys, but they can't drop Moody. Come on, man. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the new jerseys? You like them? You hate them? The black, the red. I do like that gold shadow letter. That's my favorite part of the jersey. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's an improvement over the black jerseys they had before. One of my arguments before was the NFL didn't allow you to go with different helmets. And so I thought that the gold helmets with a black jersey with just red, it didn't really complement. And so I thought that was always a little bit of an issue. I thought a little bit of gold around the numbers would have been good. And now they went with a shadow and the gold, and it looks good. I am a traditionalist, so I love all the original stuff. Give me the gold pants, give me the gold helmet. I like all that. But, if we're just going to do this as a one-off, I think it's pretty cool. It'll sell a lot more jerseys. It makes the NFL a lot more money, the players more money. And so with that, it is kind of a cool alternate looking jersey. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and it is better than the last one. So we'll go with that. But yeah, it's an improvement. And I think that this is probably the best case scenario after I seen they were going dark that it was going to be. And so I'll take it.
Well, my favorite jersey that I own, my number one jersey, I have the black alternate Navarro Bowman that I got autographed whenever he came out to one of it. That's my favorite jersey. Like, I would wear that thing everywhere. And I know, like, we're supposed to wear red and stuff on the road. Dude, I don't care. That is my favorite piece of clothing that I own. I just think it looks badass. But I do like the new ones. The helmet is cool. I do like the helmet. The gold face mask is a little bit off, but I like how they incorporated gold. It's not just black and red. So I like them. I feel like they could have made it a little bit cooler, but I'm being picky here. Yeah, but I love them. I really, really do. I expect they're only wearing them one game. That's week 18 against Seattle. Right. So like it's a one and done situation. We'll kind of see how it goes. But the fans, man, that's a weird thing is like they've been hyping these jerseys up for 3 months. Like you kind of screwed yourself. If you're going to do that, you're just giving people time to get upset. You know what I mean? But I do wish they'd wear them more. I like alternate stuff. And I feel like one of my favorite things about the 49ers is, one, your mascot is historic to your city, right? The gold rush, all that stuff. You have a unique color setting. How many teams have gold in there. Like, that is just beautiful. So the mascot fits, the city fits, the uniforms fit, some of the best uniforms of all time. So it's kind of hard to deviate from greatness, but I'm cool with these. I'm not in love with them. They're not my favorites, but I got no issues. And the problem with the old ones, you couldn't watch film. You would watch film in those black and red jerseys. You can't read a damn number to save your life. You're like, who is that? The whole time I'm just squinting. I was like, man, is this what it's like to be old? Like, I can't see anything. But now with that gold shadow drop on there, I feel like that remedied that situation. So I really do appreciate that. But they're cool. Now, those Buffalo ones, the Jets ones, there's some. I would not put the 49ers number 1 on those jerseys. But yeah, they went kind of hardcore with some of them. But anyway, it does match your hat. That's all I'm saying. It does match the hat. So the jerseys, I just hope that week 18 game against Seattle matters. Last year, probably the lowest point for me was going to that Arizona game, knowing this game meant nothing to anybody. And man, shout out to the faithful, because they still came out and we partied and we threw a hellacious party. We had a great time, got a party with William Floyd, bar none. It was great. But like, I hate going to games when there is no outcome that affects the postseason at all. Like, I want games to matter. And I hope that game is not a total letdown. I don't think it will be. That's my number 1 most important game of the season, is that last game against the Seattle Seahawks. So we'll have to see what that looks like. Now, let's get back to some more roster questions. Adrian Martinez. The 49ers have named somewhat their third quarterback, not official yet. Again, in the press conferences, you got Kyle Shanahan saying, I don't even know if we could talk about it. And John Lynch like, yeah, I don't know if we could talk about it. And then Kyle Shanahan goes, it's Adrian Martinez. Like, it reminded me of the other guys where they asked like Dwayne Rock, are you dating Kim Kardashian? He's like, no comment, but yes. It's like, I don't know. So what are your thoughts on Adrian Martinez, dual threat quarterback, been around the league? Where do we stand with that? Quarterback 3.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the UFL too, so I got to see him a lot, playing there. I tend to watch the UFL sometimes. There's nothing else to do. Pretty fun to watch, and he's a guy that he makes good decisions, and I think that's why they're interested in him. He makes good decisions. He's a veteran who can lead the practice squad. He can lead the group, and I think that they were looking for that. They had a couple of young guys. Those guys aren't as exactly ready to go. But Adrian Martinez is a guy that can do it all, right? You need somebody to emulate a running quarterback. You got your guy. Need a guy that can just sit in the pocket and go through reads. He can do that. He can also add something to that quarterback room. I think that's why they kind of looked at Nate Sudfeld as well. They wanted to get a little bit more of a veteran presence in there, somebody that could help with, the film watching and X's and O's and things like that. And I think that he's a good player to have for that. He's not somebody that's going to overwhelm you with talent, but he knows what he does well, and he does it well. And I like guys who can just get out there and get the timing, understand what they're supposed to do, and when things break down, make something happen. But it's nice to have another veteran in the room, at least for Brock Purdy and Mac Jones.
Yeah, and Vader, Saleh must have put in a word for Martinez as a good scout quarterback, because, again, the third quarterback runs the scout team. And you look at the schedule, week 1, you got Sam Darnold. He's mobile. Week 2, you got Spencer Rattler, mobile. Week 3, you got Kyler Murray, mobile. So Mac Jones, if you watch Mac in his giddy up, it is very old grandpa-esque running, scooting those heels. It's what it is. So you're not really getting that look from a scout team quarterback. Now you bring in a mobile guy. I think that adds to it. And so you're always going to have 3 quarterbacks in the Kyle Shanahan team. He literally got the rule changed after the NFC Championship game. So Adrian Martinez, we'll see how that goes, but it's nice to have just some difference there with the looks that you can give the offense, which you're going to need to do, because Sam Darnold mobile. And again, obviously Kyler Murray, one of the most mobile. Yeah, right here, I completely disagree with this. Sam Darnold is extremely mobile. That dude got offered a full ride scholarship to USC playing basketball. Like, this is one of the things that I don't think people understand. Like, this dude, what did he have? He had a 6'9" 3-cone. That's better than Deebo Samuel. Like, yeah, he's mobile. By far one of the best basketball players in the league. Ran a 4.8. Like, I know when people picture Sam Darnold, you don't think about it. But, man, you go watch him in the Jets game against us whenever he literally had the career highlight where he's, like, scrambling around and throwing on the run. I disagree with you there, Coward Chipto, but you're always more right than I am anyway. Am I crazy in thinking Sam Darnold's got some mobility to him?
No, I think he's mobile too. When he can get outside the pocket and create a little bit out there. He can take off and scramble. I think he's not exactly a running quarterback. He's more of an extend the play quarterback, but he's got that arm to be able to throw on the run. And you bring up that one throw, that was one of the most elite throws that he made, and that was against the 49ers way back when he was with the Jets. So, yeah, you have to prepare for his mobility. The one thing about him and Kyler Murray, mobile quarterbacks, Murray is the runner, but both of them take sacks way too much for their athleticism, which is kind of an interesting thing. And with Sam Darnold, we know in the past, if you rattle him a little bit, it can be a little bit of a problem. And then he kind of just stares down people. So it's going to be interesting with Sam Darnold. But I like the guy. I think he's a good player. And I do think he's more athletic than probably people think, and deceptively athletic.
Yeah. Let's go to. It's way too much offensive talk for me to feel comfortable. Sorry about that, and that's apologies on my notes. I should have differentiated a little bit. Let's talk defense. Probably one of the best news yesterday that wasn't talked about enough. Upton Stout, who was the most promising rookie. Let's just be very, very blunt. Like, it wasn't Mikael Williams before he got injured, not Alfred Collins, not Nick Martin. It was Upton Stout. And kind of the two rookies, three if you want to throw in Connor Colby, the three rookies that have kind of seized momentum, Marquis Siegel, Upton Stout, Connor Colby. Well, Upton Stout returned to practice yesterday, a week and a half later than the projected. Just remember, anytime Kyle Shanahan talks injuries, take that with a grain of salt. I don't think that he blatantly lies. Whenever it comes to injuries, his accuracy is about as bad as he could possibly get. But Upton Stout is now practicing. You are 10 days out as of now. Jimmy Garoppolo days out from week 1. Who in the hell is your starting nickel? This has been my question all offseason. It's like, do you go with experience? Chase Lucas earned a roster spot. I was so glad that they gave it to him. I feel like that's so good for the locker room to see somebody ball out all preseason and on special teams to get a shot. Do you go with Chase Lucas, who has experience, has been playing at the top of his game, or do you go with the rookie who has not taken one snap against another opponent, coming fresh off an injury? And remember, you're playing Cooper Kupp in the slot, and you're playing Jackson Smith and Jigba, two of the most crafty slot wide receivers. How do you approach personnelling this? Do you go with the rookie and just let him take his lumps? Or do you go Chase Lucas? Like, if you don't go Chase Lucas, why'd you put him on the roster? So how do you handle this nickel slot position for week 1?
Yeah, I think this is one of the most interesting ones to figure out. It's going to have to come with the stamp of approval from Robert Saleh. And I don't know how Saleh feels about Upton Stout's ability to read, what the offense is going to do, the concepts. One of the big things that Jackson Smith and Jigba's done, and he's done it to De'Amara Lenore a lot, is that slot fade. We know that's a weakness of this defense. And we've seen, guys struggle with it in the past. Can Upton Stout take that away? We know Demo got better and better and better at taking that thing away. And so it's a situation where you've got to see what Upton Stout's got. I have less worries about him going against a team for the first time or another roster team, as long as he's proving it in practice against the guys he's got to win against, right? Against Ricky Pearsall, against those guys that can do it. Now, he doesn't have the full gamut of guys that he could go against, but I still think he's got some ability. I think that I would lean normally towards the veteran Chase Lucas, but I don't know if Robert Saleh is just going to say, yeah, let's go with the young kid. We've seen coaches do this in the past. They did it with Sam Womack originally. They're just like, hey, he's our nickel guy. He's going to go for it. Now, Womack wasn't coming off injury, but I don't know for sure. I think Upton Stout's game, his ability is way better than Chase Lucas.
Right.
But is he prepared is the biggest question mark. Is he prepared? I think we'll find out in the next couple weeks. But it's going to come down to Robert Saleh's decision.
That's kind of my thing is like, dude, what? So if Chase Lucas is on this roster, okay, special teams for sure. But like, you got to give him a crack. Like, this is a division game against two of the best slot wide receivers in the NFL. if you're not going to play Chase Lucas, you should have put him on the roster. And maybe he's one of the guys that gets waived here to make room for Russell Gage or to make room for whomever, maybe Kendrick Bourne, who knows. But like maybe that's the case. And if that is the case, then sure. And then, you enter in the equation Diamajor Lenore. Kyle Shanahan seems dead set on Demo just playing outside. Now, there are no more open practices. Beat writers do not get to watch practices anymore for the rest of the season outside of the initial 20-minute warm-up. So, like, do they do a switcheroo? Do they do, where, okay, Demo, you haven't taken one snap at slot all training camp, all mini camp, all preseason, but now we're going to kick you inside and we're going to kind of rope-a-dope kind of what's going on here? Or do you go with Kyle's words on we want to play one position? We want to play one position. He's an outside corner. Do you think there's any chance Demo scoots inside like he did last year?
Maybe just situational. I don't think he's going to move inside. I think the way that they constructed this roster too, it feels like they kept 2 nickel corners to ensure that Upton Stout is either you got a backup just in case he's not ready to go, or you got somebody to kind of bridge the gap until he is ready to go. And so it could be Upton Stout early, and then they go Chase Lucas if something happens and Upton Stout's not up to the task, or it could be vice versa. So I think Diamondor and Renardo Green, they're going to be your outside corners. I think they are set on that. The only time you could see it maybe when they get to the red zone, right? You move Demo inside, change it up a little bit, depending on situation. But they want Demo covering the best wide receiver on the other team. Maybe he travels. I don't know. I don't think it was the best with Upton Stout or Chase Lucas to put them on the outside. They don't have that kind of versatility. So I think he's going to be outside, and I think he's going to be covering whether it's Cooper Kupp or Jackson Smith-Njigba, whoever's not in the slot. That's who he's going to be covering.
Yeah. So yeah, I just don't know how they're going to handle it. And, if you had more time, if you had one game before, then, Upton Stout gets a little bit of experience, but man, saying, all right, first live snap against anybody not wearing your own jersey in the NFL, enjoy Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Just go with like, that is just, that's spicy. And I think that's kind of what it's going to come down to. Now, stick it on the defensive side, defensive tackle, man, you make a move, you go get Jordan Jefferson, all name team. You release Evan Anderson. I had fun breaking down his tape. That's up on the 49ersrush.com and our Patreon now. What are your thoughts on the 49ers' newest 53-man roster defensive tackle, Jordan Jefferson?
Yeah, I thought this was a solid pickup. A guy that's got a lot of ability, some violent hands. And, he's another big guy that plays the run really well. And I think he could evolve into a very good player in the system. Now he's going to learn to play with a little aggressiveness, getting upfield. We started seeing that from Alfred Collins and some of those guys, more aggressive style this week. And so that'll be fun to see Jefferson. I don't think he's going to have a problem with that. You go back and you watch any of his stuff from, the Senior Bowl or any of the work that he did. This dude is aggressive. He's intense. And it was the direct, that's why Evan Anderson went away. It's like, that's who Justin Jefferson is. He's just a little bit further advanced than Evan Anderson. So they improved a little bit at the position, but now they have run stoppers all over this defensive line. They are going to be impactful there, and they're going to trust Chris Kasarik to develop their pass rush a little bit. And I thought we've seen it from guys like Alfred Collins, who made a lot of really good pass rush moves. I thought Sebastian Valdez got better. We're seeing improvements from those guys, and I can't wait. But it was a good pickup overall. I know it hurts, a lot of people to get Evan Anderson, gone. Maybe he'll end up on the practice squad. But I thought he was kind of on the brink. I kind of said it the whole offseason. I thought he was kind of on the bubble, and he beat out Valdez, but the Jefferson opportunity was just too much for the 49ers to not go ahead and take advantage of.
Yeah, they got it tight. There's no doubt about that. They got it tight. Now, my question, okay, so to walk me through this defensive tackle rotation, our lads, who does a great job, they have the starting defensive tackles, Kalia Davis and Jordan Elliott, which I agree with. Backup, CJ West, Alfred Collins. Then you've got Jordan Jefferson kind of coming in and spelling that rotation. How do you see that rotation shake out week one? Who are your starters in the defensive tackle room?
I have Kalia Davis and Jordan Elliott as well. Same. I had Jordan Elliott from the beginning. I did not have Kalia Davis from the beginning, but once he started playing in the preseason, you could see it. It's like, okay, this guy is finally healthy. He's got his legs underneath him. This is a different player than we've seen the past 3 seasons. So then it was Kalia Davis. I do think Jordan Jefferson is going to be moved up a little bit. I think he's going to be ahead of CJ West early because of the injury. I think that was a little bit of a setback. I think it'll be him and Alfred Collins. They're excited about Alfred Collins' kind of development, and I am as well. I think he's doing a lot better. Those guys are 2-down players right now. CJ West has 3-down potential, but I think this kind of set him back a little bit. But once we get to the middle of the season, I think we'll see more West. But to me, I think that makes the most sense. And Alfred Collins and Jordan Jefferson on a defensive line together, that is some big hosses right there. I mean, good luck putting those guys and moving them back, with those duo blocks. Alfred Collins getting a little bit better at it. Jordan Jefferson's really good at it.
Yeah, and I want to see the waves. You know what I mean? Like where each one of these guys are getting 20 to 28 snaps. Like I think that's where it should be. And it's just we got an alpha group, we got a Bravo group. We're gonna rotate in, spell some guys. We've got our NASCAR package. Nobody's being asked to do too much. Nobody is. And one of the things that helps this defensive tackle group that is the youngest in the NFL is, hey, we're going to use a NASCAR package. We're going to use 3 defensive ends and 1 defensive tackle on passing down. So we're going to take away some snaps from you there. You guys, your only job, stop the damn run. And then, hey, anything you get in pass rush is bonus. Like that's the job. And so like you go get Jordan Jefferson and it's like, hey, he is the same. He is an elite run stuffer that can 2-gap, big-bodied, plays with aggressiveness. Like you have that in Alfred Collins. You have that in CJ West. You have that in Kalia Davis. All of those guys are kind of fit of the same mold. Bigger-bodied, kind of anchor run game players. Can they develop into pass rush guys? Like you got to type. Stop the damn run. Earn the right to rush the passer. We'll go NASCAR. We'll get guys in there. So then my question comes to, let's kick it to the outside here in the defensive end. Yetur Gross-Matos was not put on PUP. Probably one of the more shocking roster moves. Like, dude ain't practiced, and they put him on the healthy roster spot. Didn't practice yesterday, though. So, like, I don't think it's, Yetur Gross-Matos is 100% ready to go. He did 1 practice, and he already missed practice 2. Now, that was probably already in the kind of game plan, see how the knee responds, all those things. What do we do with Yetur? Like, how soon do you expect him back? He has not done much for the 49ers outside of that 1 Buffalo game where he had 3 sacks.
Yeah, I mean, the fact they have 6 defensive ends means they can use him in a variety of roles, right? They could decide not to play him on base downs. They could play other guys at the edge spot and then just put him in for those NASCAR packages and keep his reps completely low. And then you could send in Bryce Huff. You could send in Yetur Gross-Matos to go rush the passer. He doesn't have to have a lot of work in these games, but can have an impact in these games. And I think that's going to be important. It's going to be big next week to see how he responds. They said they're going to work him in. They've been simulating practice for him right now, and he's been responding well. But we won't know until next week when all of a sudden he's got to be expected to be out there in practice. But I think that would probably be the goal early. You have guys who can set the edge. Bosa's an every down player. Mikael Williams will set the edge in the run game very well. You have Sam Okuwanu. He'll play consistently. Robert Beal Jr. will probably be out there too. And once again, you bring in Bryce Huff for Robert Beal Jr. and for, Mikael Williams, and you go ahead and rush the passer. So I like this idea of let's have huge defensive tackles, stop the run, earn the right to rush the passer, and then let's put in our specialists that can go get after it and put pressure on interior offensive linemen that got to deal with going after big defensive tackles all game. And then now you got to stop fast guys like Yetur Gross-Matos and Mikael Williams and Sam Okuwanu. Good luck. It just makes it more difficult to be able to stop these guys. I think the 49ers are going to put some pressure on the quarterbacks on 3rd down this year.
Yeah, it's going to have to happen. The secondary, you got 2 studs, but you got some question marks. The safeties, you've got some question marks. You've got some surprising whatever. And that's what I want to talk about next, because this safety room, it could go 100 different ways. And so we're going to try to clear that up. I want to get Ant's take on that right after this.
49ers Rush Road Trip is going into its 6th year with over 40 events at road games. If you are traveling to see the 49ers play this year, you got to come party with us. And on top of that, we give games, trivia, giveaways. We've partnered with TickPick this year. All you have to do is search 49ers Rush on any of the TickPick sites, apps, you name it. And on top of all of that, best dressed, giveaways, autographed jerseys, kids are always included, and get in for free with a ticketed adult. And
a lot of times for select cities, we will have 49ers legends come out and you get to meet and greet them and get an autograph. Navarro Bowman, Frank Gore, Patrick Willis, Fred Warner are all players that we have worked with in the past. And trust me, if you want to build the 49ers community, you're traveling by yourself, we got you covered. 49ersrushroadtrip.com. All right, come party with us, guys. We are going to be out in Seattle with Frank Gore to start the season off. It is going to be an absolute freaking blast. And then we're going to be in New Orleans week 2, which I am super psyched. We just changed the location of our tailgate because it just got too big. We're going to be under the huge clarinet mural, which is only like 2 blocks from the stadium. It's going to be incredible. So if you bought your tickets to the New Orleans party, it's going to be my birthday, September 14th. Can't wait for that one. But if you already bought those, just want to let you know, we did change the location of the tailgate. It's bigger. It's going to fit more people. It's closer. No cost change or anything like that. But yeah, come party with us there. It's going to be such a freaking good time. So let's talk safeties because, Malik Mustafa, he did stay on the PUP. So he is there. But man, you get Richie Grant back at practice. Jason Pinnock seems to be kind of inked in as a starter. Jair Brown made the roster. Marcus Siegel, who John Lynch talked about yesterday, who are your 2 starters week 1? And again, remember, division opponent.
Yeah, I think Jason Pinnock is the foregone conclusion right now at safety. They feel the most comfortable with him, and why not, right? I mean, Robert Saleh drafted the guy. He's got a lot of confidence in him. His ability to play around the box and blitz off the edge is going to be something Robert Saleh is going to use, but he's also a veteran who understands how to play in the league. I think Jair Brown is going to start next to him. And I don't think Jair had a bad game in the week 3 matchup. I thought this was actually one of his better games that we've seen, but I think they go with experience first because of some of the routes and some of the concepts and the coverage things that Jair just has a little bit more experience with. I think Marquis Siegel's close. I love Siegel's tackling way more than Jair Brown. I love the way that he plays post-snap a lot more than Jair Brown. But when it comes to coverage, I think he got exposed a little bit in this last preseason game. They put more pressure on him, and I don't think he was quite ready for it yet. But he's going to be at some point. It could be one of those things like Malik Mustafa halfway through the year. Marquis Siegel's ready to kind of take off and explode. And eventually he's going to be a great player for the Niners. I just think early on it might be Jair. I think Richie Grant would have been in the mix, but because of the injury, I think that set him back, and now he's more of a depth piece early on in the season.
I don't like it. That no matter what you do, you kind of are screwed. The 49ers in the past under Wilkes and under Sorensen kind of went experience, that Richie Grant type guy. Didn't work out either time. Jair Brett, I was to the point where I would have been not shocked if Jair Brown didn't even make the 53. I just think dude can't tackle. You're seeing that in the preseason games still. It just arms to his side, human torpedo, refused to wrap up, closes his eyes, looks at the ground, looking like a Kello Witherspoon out there as a safety, and it just pisses me off. But the coverage, that's kind of where he excels at. Turnovers, that's what he kind of excels at. So do you go with Marquis Siegel, who could tackle better than any of them, and it's not even close, but now you've got the coverage issues. No matter what you go with, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you're going to have discrepancies. I am almost completely out on Jair Brown. And I know whenever I record with Wayne, I'm gonna get an earful on this, but I am just to the point now where I think Jair Brown was the worst player rostered by the 49ers all of last season. And the main things that I needed to see him overcome, he hasn't. But I do agree with you that there is a better chance of him starting than not. If I had to put percentages, I'd probably say 40% for Jair Brown, 30% Siegel, and whatever the remainder is on Richie Grant. Probably, I guess that's 30, 40. I'm smart. I can do this. But I'm completely done with Jair Brown. I kind of was hoping he was going to get cut. What would your thoughts have been if he did get cut? I see it, or man, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, I don't think it would have surprised me. I think that would have been, that would affirm what we thought about Marquis Siegel, that he was ready to roll. I think that if they cut him, that would have, Marquis Siegel was going to be your starting safety week 1, and there's still a chance that he could be. I think there's a lot of upside to Marquis Siegel, and if he could just pick up some things coverage, they say he's really good when it comes to that stuff, and if he could pick it up, if they line him up week 1 at safety, I won't bat an eye. I really won't. I'll be like, okay, let's roll. Let's see what happens. We're gonna have a mistake here or there, but let's let it happen. I just think that when you have Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp and the way this offensive scheme is going to roll, you have Jair Brown that's seen this offense now for, a couple years. He understands the offense kind of inside and out, practicing against it. Probably likely him, but if it's Marquise Siegel, let's roll. I'm excited about him. I think he's going to be a great player for us.
And I kind of want to offset that with what you do at nickel. Like, I don't want Marquise Siegel and Upton Stout. You know what I mean? Like, I want Chase Lucas and Marcus Siegel, or I want Upton Stout and Jair Brown. You know what I mean? Like, I want to offset. I don't want rookie on rookie stacked in those coverage run gaps, lane filling, all that stuff. I want them staggered. I want to mix a vet with the young blood. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my rear end, but like that, I want comfort and veteran established somewhere in this secondary. Jason Pinnock doesn't even have it. That dude's been playing safety for 1 year. Like, that's it. Diamador Lenore has it, but how many times has he just played outside quarter nonstop? I'm not worried about Demo. There's just quite. Renardo Green's awesome, but his best game ever was against Seattle and DK Metcalf and the interception that, last year on the road. But like, that dude hadn't finished a lot of games. He doesn't have a lot of experience, and he's coming off an injury of himself. The inexperience of this defense, whether it's at defensive tackle, all of the defensive back positions, is a concern. It's a major concern. Now, the good news, you practice against this damn offense every day. Like, it is Kubiak's system. Like, let's be honest. So you shouldn't be. You practice against Shanahan. Now you're going against the apprentice and Kubiak. There shouldn't be a lot of plays that's just like, I didn't know what was going on. So the awareness should be there. I want some experience. I want some comfort. We'll see how it goes. But now the last one I want to talk about is the running back position, because again, another player, I'm going through the offensive tape, and like the second play of the game in week 3, Isaac Guerrero just runs into the back of Matt Hennessy, like full speed, just runs right into the back of his guy again. Like, I have not seen the development. And whenever Kyle Shanahan came out and said, we brought Brian Robinson in to be our number 2 running back, how long until Jordan James is the number 3? He's back practicing as well. So talk to me about this running back depth chart. I think 1 and 2 are set. But whenever you're talking Isaac Guerrero and you're talking Jordan James, how do you see that playing out?
I think Guerendo's number 3. I feel pretty confident with that. A lot of it comes down to pass protection, right? Isaac Guerrero is going to be the better pass protector right now. Jordan James is going to have to kind of work on that. It wasn't like he's bad coming out of college, but it's definitely a development coming in the NFL. And I think Isaac Guerendo's further along. So that means he's going to have Kyle Shanahan's, trust. And so he's going to go there. Plus, Guerrero adds something in the passing game that you can play on third down. I think that's going to be a big reason why he could spell Brian Robinson sometimes on third down, but he's got that speed element that not a lot of the guys have. He has that dynamic ability, the whole shot of play. And you like having those guys in the offense is kind of like, that change of pace type guy. So I think Guerrero is going to have that. I will say that Guerendo's vision in this game that he just played was hit and miss. I thought that there was times that it was fine, and there was times it wasn't. His offensive line did him no favors in a couple of situations where he's trying to, especially on the inside zone, press to the heels, and the offensive lineman's heels are moving backwards into him. He doesn't have a lot of time to decide. So,
and that is true. Like, Hennessy got pushed back. There's no doubt about that. But you still don't. Like, he ran into him and stepped on him with both feet. Like I did a still shot. I didn't put this out on Twitter because I didn't want to put negative stuff out there because I thought he might get cut. But, like, he literally stepped on Hennessy's right foot and then stepped on Hennessy's left foot. And it's like, you literally were trying to impregnate this man. Like, you could not have done it more violent contact sexually. Like, it was terrible. And it's just like, if you can't make a defender miss, how you can't even make your offensive lineman miss. And this is something we've seen from Guerrero now nonstop. Vision was his major issue all throughout college and why he never started a game at college. I'm just to the point now where I'm just like, dude, fumbles nonstop. Had 4 fumbles, the week before that last preseason game, the injuries and the lack of vision. I'm just like, golly, man, just put him on special teams and break glass in case of emergency. But Kawachipto says, James is already the number 3. But yeah, if you need receiving, I am with you. That is the one area where I think that he kind of provide something, but I don't know. The 49ers, in 8 seasons under Shanahan, the number 3 running back has gotten substantial carries 7 out of the 8 seasons. The only time they didn't was 2023 when Christian McCaffrey stayed healthy the whole time, but that's 1 year out of 8. And so that number 3 running back position at some point is going to have to play, like just kind of prepare for that. Now, what are your thoughts on Hennessy? This is the one where I don't think that you can cut Hennessy because he's your only backup center unless you're going to promote Nick Zakelj, which I don't know if anybody wants to do that. Do you have a kind of like what you think will happen when Gage makes the 53? Like, who do you move off the roster? Is it Hennessy or somebody else?
Well, I think they made the decision to go with Hennessy and Moss over Zakelj because Zakelj was going to give you that versatility roster-wise because he played both positions. And they decided they needed Hennessy, that he was the better backup center. That allowed them to keep Moss as well to be a guard. I hate to say it, but you got to look at the positions where you have an abundance of players. So it's got to be corner. It's got to be offensive line where you kept 10. That's not normal. So it could be Hennessy, but I don't think so, which means it could scare a lot of people. It could be Drew Moss. He could potentially be that guy, or Austin Pleasance. I think that those are probably the most likely of the guys that could go. And that's kind of the same thing you were looking at the other side of the ball with the defensive line. It was Evan Anderson. It's Drew Moss. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's not Drew Moss. I know a lot of people really excited about him. I love him run blocking. I'm still think he's a work in progress when it comes to pass blocking, but I want to see him be able to develop because I think he does have the ability to be a solid player in the NFL. But he might get caught by the roster crunch.
Yeah. And I like this, so we'll end on this. Monkey, he says, cautiously optimistic about this year. This team is going to look completely different second half of the season when the rooks gel and the wide receiver room back and shoot. Not only the wide receiver room, you're talking Malik Mustafa. You're getting back Kevin Givens. Like, those guys matter. The veteran presence that they bring. Well, I know Mustafa's not a veteran, he's second-year player, but damn sure played like it. The schedule, the coaching staff, and the blue chip players that you have, that has to carry you early on. Has to. And again, the coaching is gigantic. The biggest upgrade from 2024 to 2025, it's not Jimmy's and Joe's, it's X's and O's with Robert Saleh and Brant Boyer. Those are the 2 largest moves. Now, if the rookies can grow up before our very eyes, especially early on, because they're going to get playing time. It's not, this redshirt philosophy is gone now. That's got to carry you. The schedule's rough. But can you overcome the kicking issues? Can you overcome the youth? Can you overcome the lack of depth all across this roster? What's your kind of overall temperature check on the 49ers in the 2025 season in whole? Anthony, whenever you step back and look at it, how do you feel about it?
I think it's going to come down to how they get started. You know what I mean? I think if they get started early on in this season, there's opportunities to win. And I think if they win early, that's going to give some of these young guys confidence. It's also going to give them probably the opportunity to kind of ease in. We have some veterans, we're going to have to count on Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis. As long as those guys kind of live up to expectation, that's going to help those young guys, get their feet underneath them and kind of get their ability going. And I think they'll be okay. I think this team is got an opportunity. You're right. It's gonna be basically held up on, can these young guys, step up and make plays? But I think they have enough veterans and enough key veterans. When you look at the offense, you got McCaffrey, you got Kittle, you've got Brock Purdy, who's completely established now. Those guys are going to stabilize things. Trent Williams as well. You've got these pillars on your offense. It's going to make things go. And on defense, you've done that too. You've got Fred Warner, you've got Nick Bosa, you got Deommodore Lenoir now. So you've got guys that can definitely do that. There are questions. If those questions are answered in a positive direction, 49ers are going to win a lot of games. If it's not in a positive direction, it's going to be a little bit more hit and miss. How much can your stars carry you, especially early in the season? But there's some winnable games, and I think that could give the 49ers confidence they need to kind of get this season rolling.
Yeah, win some of those division games earlier. 1-5 against the NFC West last year. That's what killed the season. If you could just tilt that to a 3-3 with this schedule, you've got more than a realistic possibility of making the playoffs. I think we're still pretty far away from going 6-0 in the NFC West like we did back-to-back years. But you got to win some road games in the division. Week 1 doesn't get bigger. does not get bigger. Ant, you are incredible. So is everybody watching and or listening. Just want to thank everybody spending time with us. I know you can spend it anywhere, but it means the world to us that you spend it with us, and hopefully you enjoyed the time. But that's going to do it for us. We are 10 days away from the season starting off, and until next time, stay strong, faithful.